So fun fact about me, once I have filmed and edited and uploaded these YouTube videos, I can never watch them ever again. It makes no sense. I've spent forever creating the video, but once it goes live, I develop this phobia and I can't watch it. But today we're going to make an exception because I wanted to react to this video that I created in November 2016, and it's called the Ride or Die Makeup Tag. Essentially, I talk about all of my favorite holy grail makeup items, and I thought that today we could watch it together and then I could tell you if those products are still my holy grails or whether they've been replaced by newer and better makeup. So let's skip the intro because I just really want it. I've attempted to do this in some sort of chronological order, so let's start with the face primer. For me, this is definitely the Hourglass Veil. And fun fact, I didn't love this one at first because it's one of those primers that's really silicone-y and slippy, but I experimented and the key is to use very, very little. I'm going to stop myself there, but if you want to watch this video in its entirety, then I'll link it in the description box below. But first of all, those nails, I remember that I got a little bit of shit in the comments for those nails because people were like, they're distracting, and I was like, let me live my life. But yes, my holy grail primer was the Hourglass Veil, and I actually still keep a bottle of this on my filming desk with all my other holy grail products. And as far as smoothing primers go, it's still definitely one of my favorites. Although I have noticed my preferences sort of change over the years, and nowadays if I'm going to be using a primer, it's probably more geared towards hydration or luminosity as opposed to pore smoothing. So here are two primers that I would consider holy grail now. The Dermalogica Skin Hydrating Mask. So this is kind of like a jelly consistency, and while not technically labeled a primer, it does exactly what all of my other hydrating primers do. It just quenches the skin, and if I'm using a foundation that's a little bit matte, then this will allow some slip. And then the second primer-like product that I love, adore, and would consider a holy grail is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I've raved about this so many times that you guys are probably getting bored of it, but this is glossy skin goals. And I would apply this before my foundation on all the high points, and that sheen will peek through the foundation and give just a lovely glossy effect to the skin. Next! You guys might tell me off for cheating, but my Ride or Die foundation is a mix of two. I are sorry, okay? If I gave any other answer, it would be a lie. Armani Luminous Silk plus a drop of Maestro Glow, I'm sorry. The Luminous Silk brings the coverage, and it's the most photogenic foundation that I've encountered. But I feel like the formula alone is just a touch dry for my dry skin. The drop of Maestro Glow just shears out the formula a bit, adds a lot of glow, so the mix is just more forgiving, I guess, on my skin type. So Armani Luminous Silk, this will always be a holy grail for me, especially for your kind of special occasion stuff or your flash photography stuff, because it is so incredibly photogenic. And that's why I use it a lot on YouTube as well. Maestro Glow, Maestro, not Maestro, took me like 3 years to figure it out. Maestro Glow is forever a masterpiece to me. The only reason that I stopped talking about it is because they discontinued it. Because Armani Beauty has a personal vendetta against me. It's the only explanation. So these Holy Grail foundations were not replaced, but they were supplemented by another Holy Grail foundation. This is the My Armani To Go Essence In Foundation Cushion SPF 23. Is it just me, or is that a little bit of a marketing fail when the product name is such a mouthful that you can't remember it when you go back to the counter to repurchase? I don't know. It has a wonderful angular puff that I find to be really convenient. It's a cushion compact, uber convenient. I often do my makeup in the back of a cab. It has a really beautiful dewy finish. It never goes cakey. The coverage is really nice and buildable and versatile. The shade 4 is a bang-on color match. So the Too Long Didn't Read version, my holy grail everyday or casual foundation is the My Armani To Go Cushions Essence In Foundation Cushion. And then my holy grail special occasion foundation is the Armani Luminous Silk. Wow, Armani, killing it in the base department. Next. Under eye concealer, of course, Urban Decay Naked. I've tried and enjoyed lots of under eye concealers recently, but I always seem to come back to this one. This was actually a holy grail product that I replaced, and it was replaced by the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. So to be honest, they're not terribly dissimilar products. They're of the same breed. They're both fuller coverage concealers that have good setting power, so they have really great longevity. The only real difference to me is that the Tarte Shape Tape had a slightly better shade range. The shades ran a little warmer, and I found that better balanced the bluey and purple discoloration under my eyes, whereas the Naked Skin could sometimes look a little bit ashy. And then also the formula of the Tarte Shape Tape is a touch more smoothing. So if you're dragging your concealer down onto kind of your cheek area or the side of your nose, this one does a better job of disguising the pores. Setting powder. I'm really starting to feel like a break on record, but it's the Rouge Bunny Rouge Diaphanous. I call this the powder for people that hate powder. The Rouge Bunny Rouge Diaphanous powder, such an oldie but a goodie, and still a holy grail for sure. I did discover some additional holy grail powders, like the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder. This one has a slight yellow tinge, and I prefer this for use under the eyes because that yellow just helps to brighten and balance any bluey purple shades. So I find that I tend to gravitate towards the Cover FX when I'm doing quite a glam look, maybe a little bit of baking, and then I gravitate towards the Rouge Bunny Rouge Diaphanous if I want a very realistic, no makeup kind of look. Diaphanous will always be my baby. So I always start my brows with a brow pencil, and I don't have a ride or die for this one. I've enjoyed lots of them, and I'm yet to have like an aha moment with a brow pencil. That's interesting. In November 2016, I had not had an aha moment with a brow pencil. It is now August 2019, and I still have not had an aha moment with a brow pencil. So if you could recommend me an awesome brow pencil that's not too soft and not too hard, and definitely more of a gray shade because I hate warmth in my brows, please leave your suggestions in the comment section down below. They would be greatly appreciated. Ride or Die Brow Gel, of course, the Surratt Brow Pomade. If you share my love for like bushy, textured, really brushed up brows, just go buy this. Look, let me explain what happened. It was not replaced as a holy grail, but there was a good period there, and there are other people that can vouch for me. There was a good period there where it was so difficult to get your hands on the Surratt Brow Pomade. It was always out of stock. I think they had some sort of stock issue. So I was forced to dabble in other eyebrow gels, and I discovered the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter, and this is more of a traditional clear brow gel where the Surratt is actually quite a waxy texture. I love both. If I'm going for a very particular look, like that very bushy Vogue model brow, nothing beats Surratt for that Vogue brow. My Ride or Die Eye Primer, MAC 24-Hour Extend Eye Base. This primer is very grippy and has like a rubberized finish as it sets. If you have hooded eyes, this is a lifesaver. It keeps any of the shimmer on your mobile lid so that it doesn't transfer into the crease. Again, kind of preferences change over time. I remember my eye priming routine back then. Listen to this. So I would use a 24-hour extend eye base all over the eyes. Then I would take a little bit of concealer on a flat brush and just pop it underneath the brow and then blend it down just a little bit and then buff out the edges. And then I would take a translucent powder and just set the area above the crease. This is an elaborate eye priming routine, right? And sure, if you're doing like a very graphic big eye or a fanciful cut crease, then maybe it makes sense to spend a little bit more time priming the eyes. But nowadays, girlfriend, I just want to streamline it all. So I discovered the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. So this is an eyeshadow primer. It will help with the longevity of your eyeshadow. It helps eyeshadows adhere onto the eyelid, but it's also tinted. It will help to conceal any veins or discoloration that you might have on your eyelid. So I've effectively kind of just streamlined the process a little. Okay, next is eyeshadow. When I was brainstorming for this video, two eyeshadow palettes came to mind. The Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette and the Visart Matte Neutral Palette. The Visart Matte Neutral Palette is still a real staple in my mind. Whenever I'm going on shoots, I bring it along. It's like the bread and butter of my eye sculpting and eye contouring. And I would absolutely recommend it if you can justify the splurge. To be honest, over the past few years, I feel really overwhelmed by the sheer number of eyeshadows hitting the market. And I try to like keep up with it and test all these different eyeshadows, and then they all just sort of merge into one neutral palette that performed nicely. Like they're all nice, that's the thing. And recently, over the past year, I have been getting so much use out of this. I think Katie from Lustrelux would call it like a life palette. It's got a huge array of mattes on one side, matte neutral shadows, and shimmer neutral shadows on the other side. It's a collection of brands like Makeup Geek, MAC, there's some Anastasia. I know that it's not practical for everyone just to like go out and make one of these, but I just always find myself gravitating towards it. There's warms, there's cools, there's shimmers, there's mattes. I made it myself. I love you. My Ride or Die eyeliner is more of a breed of formula that we see in lots of brands, you know, high-end, drugstore, mid-end. I call it the MAC Pearl Glide formula, if you are familiar with that one. This is a really good reminder actually for me to go back and reuse some of these pencils, because honestly they've kind of been pushed to the back of the drawer. If I had to pick like my most used eyeliner of right now, or like a holy grail eyeliner of right now, one that I've been using a ton is the Marc Jacobs Fine Liner in Blacker. And it's a very, very fine retractable eyeliner. It's very dense, very black. It gives you a few seconds to kind of soften out the edges like I've done today, but then it sets really well. It's wonderful. That very fine nib is perfect for really getting underneath the lashes and in the tight line. You can wear this one in the waterline. It doesn't irritate my eyes at least. So yeah, that stuff is bomb, but for sure, I've got to be revisiting my MAC Pearl Glide collection. So my all-time ride or die favorite false lashes were the House of Lashes Iconic, but now they've released the Iconic Minis. It's got that same fabulous crisscross texture and that elongated shape. House of Lashes Iconic and Iconic Mini. I remember I had a good few years there where I just hoarded them and I had like a ton in my collection. And I actually still do have some. I feel like strip lashes sometimes, depending on the style, can look very done and it can look quite Instagram, which is totally a vibe that I can appreciate. But I found myself gravitating towards something a little bit more natural, like an individual lash. And I like that with individuals, I can really customize the shape. I've created some really interesting, I think, eyelash shapes. I buy the Knot Free individuals in short and medium. They're more comfortable to wear as well. So yeah, I would say my holy grail lashes now broadly are individual lashes. Bronzer was surprisingly difficult. I physically picked up each favorite and then I selected the one that sparked most joy. Have you read that book? I really recommend it. Anyway, Guerlain Four Seasons. I have such a soft spot for this bronzer because it blends perfectly every time. Yes, Karima, spark joy, yes. So again, another great reminder, I've got to get those Guerlain bronzers out of the drawer. I think I moved a little bit more towards a luminous bronzer as opposed to a matte bronzer, which that Guerlain bronzer is. It's more matte. You know what I'm totally into and have been for months and months and months? The damn Hourglass powders. They're very sheer, buildable. It has a little bit of luminosity, but it's nothing that would be obnoxious or not work appropriate. They're just very, very chic, well formulated powders. I love the colors, yeah. This bronzer is amazing. I recognize this blush. Ride or die blush. It's got to be the Milani Luminoso. I know that this is a miss for a lot of people. I know Sharon doesn't really like it because it can read kind of orange on some skin tones. But I like orangey blush on myself. If I had to pick a blush right now that I would say is a holy grail, it's actually not terribly dissimilar to the one that I just mentioned. It's the same kind of blush, just a different brand. Again, Hourglass. This is Dim Infusion. Again, a little bit of luminosity, very sheer, very buildable, easy to work with. But I mean, if you're looking for a more affordable option, then Luminoso always has my heart.
Contour, super easy. The Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting Powder in medium. It's a powder formula, but it's super smooth and buttery and easy to blend. The shade, spot on. It leans cool without being a flat out grey, so it's a little more user friendly.
Yeah, Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting is, to me, the quintessential contour powder. It's a little bit grayed, a little desaturated to give that very realistic shadow look, and this will always be a holy grail. Another holy grail contour that I've got to mention while we're here, the MAC eyeshadow in Omega. So again, this is sort of a desaturated, putty, kind of grayed tone, and it makes for a very realistic shadow. I think Omega would probably be better suited if you are on the paler spectrum, whereas the Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting are more for the medium spectrum. On to highlight.
Highlight. This is an impossible choice for me. It's like, who is your favorite child? Also, I want to know the context. Is it a daytime highlight, a nighttime highlight, warm tone, cool tone? There's just too many possibilities.
Yes, I agree. Who is my favorite child? So if you had me right now and you were like, Karima, give me your holy grail highlight, I would have to say the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand. It is both intense and yet glossy. So it doesn't look frosty or sparkly. It genuinely looks like glossy glass skin. I sometimes put it underneath my foundation, over my foundation. It is truly angelic. Holy grail lips, hit me.
My ride or die lip pencil is Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. This is a nude, warm pink, and it's just a real face brightening shade. Closely followed by the shade Iconic Nude, which is a deeper, more browny nude.
I think that the best way to determine my holy grail lip products, I got my handbag and there's a Ziploc. It's kind of manky looking. Don't judge me, okay? But here are the lip liners that I'm carrying around, have been carrying around for months. So I actually do have here the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk. I love this one, but I sometimes find that it's just a little bit too pink and a little bit too deep for what I have in mind. So that's Pillow Talk there. So another lip liner that I absolutely adore, would 100% classify as a holy grail, is the Boots No. 7 lip liner in nude. Very creamy formula, and it's lighter than the Pillow Talk. So it's kind of got a little bit more of a nude feel. And then my newest discovery is the Pat McGrath Lab Ultra Lip Pencil in Done Undone. A really pretty nude. It's actually very similar to Boots No. 7. 3 of my holy grail lip liners, Bolsho.
Lipstick is, I think, the ultimate trendy accessory, so narrowing down a ride or die was really tricky. Here are 3 of my most used shades. I guess you could call them ride or die. Oh, what's that? 3 almost identical shades? Yeah, nude warm pink. I'm all about it.
I'm still all about the nude warm pink. Oh, that is so funny. So NARS Raquel's Tom Ford Spanish Pink and Charlotte Tilbury Bitch Perfect. So these are all creamy finish pigmented lipsticks. And 2016, Karima would not believe it, but more and more I find myself gravitating towards sheer balmy lipsticks and gloss. I mean, who am I? I don't even know. So here are 2 products that I've been carrying around in my handbag for God knows how long. These are the YSL Glossy Lip Stains. I have the shade 404 and 27. I think 404 is perhaps a little bit more coral and 27 is a little bit more pink. I mean, splitting hairs here. I purchased my first Glossy Stain years and years ago. I'm still using them now. These are very clearly a holy grail item. So that's where the video ends, but I figure now we're talking about changing holy grail items. I have one more addition that I think is worthy of discussion. I, for years, used the Tweezerman tweezers and I was perfectly happy with them until I went on a trip and I actually forgot them and had to repurchase a pair of tweezers, and I actually purchased the Rubus Switzerland tweezers. These blew my mind. They are comparatively quite sharp. So you do have to be careful if you have the tendency to pinch yourself. They are quite a sharp tweezer, but this, I genuinely can catch all of my little baby hairs, and it makes this one look like a blunt spoon by comparison, like you're trying to pluck your face with a spoon. Rubus tweezers, game changers. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. You know, actually, that wasn't half as excruciating as I expected it would be. I think that maybe I have today overcome my phobia of seeing or hearing myself on the internet. If you would like to see more of me, then come say hello to me on Instagram at Karima McKimmie. There I do a lot of like PR unboxings, I do a lot of giveaways, talk a little bit more about my personal life if that interests you. So yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever it is that you're up to, and I shall speak to you all very soon. Bye.